Hi everybody, we're going to return to read this text here. It's me again. Hello. Look, have you been already know Obari? Obarito. He's a good friend of us, okay? He's going to help us, okay, in the basic English and English for kids. All right? So let's go ahead. The concept of myths and legend is not very clear to many people. A myth may refer to a sacred history concerning the origins of the world, or how the world and the creatures in it came to have their present form. We have already been reading this, and also we talked about this first part of the paragraph, and also here it's about the concept of myths and legend. This myth and legend, they are different things, okay? And also they are not clear to many people. There's a lot of people there can understand yet what's their concept of myth and legend. So a myth may refer to a sacred story concerning the origin of the world and how the world and created in it came to their present form. So we have here a description of what the meaning of myth refer to. Myth is a sacred story. A sacred story about what? About creatures and how creatures came to present form in the world. The active beings in myths are generally gods and heroes. The active beings. We have gods and heroes, the active beings in myths. So here we have who is most important in myth. In myths, we have gods and creatures. They are active beings. That's really important. Active beings. Myth is often said to take place before recorded history begins. So we have here a time. We have here now a time. Gods and heroes before recorded histories are said to take place. We have here a time to take place when myths begins. When myths begins before recorded history. So we have a question here. Myths are myths appeared when we have a history. No, before recorded history. First we have history, and before we have the myths, and that's the time when myth takes place. History begins, recorded history begins. It's before recorded history begins. So we have the history and before, and that's where the place the myth is located. In saying that a myth is a sacred narrative, what is meant is that a myth is believed to be true by people who attach religious or spiritual significance to it. So you have seen, in saying that myth is sacred narrative. So myth is a sacred narrative? Yes, it is. Myth is a sacred narrative. Of what? Of active beings. And who? Gods and heroes. And when it takes place? Before recorded history begins. What is meant is that a myth is believed to be true by people who attach religious or spiritual significance to it. So everybody believes that the myths are real. Everybody believes that myth is true. No, not everybody, but people, just people who attach religion or spiritual significance to it. It's not everybody, but just people believe that the myth is true. And who is that people that believe it, that the myth is true? Those people that attach religious or spiritual significance to it. So you must understand definitely that it's not everybody, but just people who attach religious or spiritual significance to it. So if I attach a religious, spiritual to a thought and to a myth, so I am a person that believe that the myth it's true. Okay, so let's go ahead. Use of the term by scholars does not imply that the narrative is either true or false. So you have here the use of the term by scholars does not imply that the narrative is either true or false. So the myth is studied by scholars, and in its narrative by scholars, it means if the scholars talk to students, to people, it implies that the myth is true? No, it doesn't imply that. It implies that it's just a myth, okay? Or, so I could say then that because it's studied by scholars, so it's false. The narrative of the myth is false. No, it's not false. It's either true or false. That's the truth. Isn't true or isn't false. Okay? So let's go ahead with that.